Hey, welcome to the channel. So I'm doing a 4-part series for the channel. Yesterday, or the first part, was chainsaws. Now we're going to do weed trimmers, and then we're going to tackle the snow blowers, and then we'll do the lawnmowers last. But what I can tell you is, if you follow a certain pattern on all of them, on how to diagnose them, you're going to do fine. So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and today we're talking about weed trimmers. What do we know about weed trimmers? Well, we have 2-stroke and 4-stroke. And what's the difference between the 2-stroke and the 4-stroke? The 4-stroke has its own oil in the base. And a 2-stroke, you have to mix the oil with the gas in order to run it. Now, we had a slew of them from Tractor Supply that ended up not putting oil in their units and having them seize them right up and then trying to figure out why. Or they had been used to running a 4-stroke, they bought a 2-stroke, didn't mix the gas and put regular gas in it, and that doesn't work either. That'll seize them up tighter than Toby's you know what. Alright, so what do we have for tools? Pretty much the same thing we did with the chainsaws. We got the handy dandy socket set. We've got the compression tester. I've got Phillips and a regular screwdriver. I have a Torque T20. I have my carburetor adjustment tools. And then I've got this set. I don't know if I've showed this to you guys or not, but it has all the torque bits in it that you can use on not the impact, but the other one, the drill. But for today, we're not going to go terrassing into them. But the thing I want you to know is the 4 points of how to diagnose, whether it's a pull-on, a Ryobi, a steel, doesn't matter, okay? You're going to do the same thing to the same saws. Now, when I have them come in, usually they're either in for a service or they're not running. So what I do right off the bat is I take a screwdriver, pop this right off. It's easier to do it with a screwdriver than it is your fingers. Alright, so I gotta take the plug out. That's a 3/4 inch. I'm going to use one of the short adapters with the snap-on ends. I've got to have a 3/8 drive ratchet. Like I said in the chainsaw video, don't be using that girl on it. Good way to strip the threads. So what am I looking for when I'm going in this direction? Well, what I'm looking for is, first and foremost, I want to take a look at that plug. And a plug will tell you a lot. I mean, if it's all carbon built up, it means it's getting too much oil in the oil to gas mix if it's a 2-stroke. If you find that it's really wet, it could be either A, flooded, or B, it's got water, and I've yet to see a small engine run on water. And then I'm looking, is the gap correct? Sometimes they'll get smashed down and there's no gap, so they can't run. This, by looking at it visually, looks good. But until I actually test it, you don't know. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a compression tester in it. Now, with these and the chainsaws, they've come out with what they call the easy start, and that it takes a while to get used to them. You pull them so far, and then all of a sudden they'll boom, you know, and so that is going to have an effect on your compression as well. But now that we have it set, push this off. What we're going to want to do is at least crank it over 4 to 5 times. Alright, so we've got just 101. That's good enough. So we know that if she's starting to get wore, right? Because it should be up around 125 to 140. But it's good enough for what we're doing, and it's good enough for the homeowner. Start your spark plug so that it's threaded properly. You should be able to drop your socket on and easily turn it with your fingers. Be careful you don't cross thread that plug. Take it to her, she's snug, and just give her a little extra. Don't go putting all your muscles into it. So the next thing we're going to do is a spark test. And I had it over here this morning. So we're going to put this boot onto the spark plug. And then we're going to put this into the spark plug boot. Make sure it snaps in. And then we're just going to simply there we go. Okay, so I'm not getting any fire. But what I can do is, this is why I recommend that you have more than one spark tester. Because if I'm not getting fire to the plug, good chances are it needs a coil. Okay, we're getting nothing. But what it could also be, when we're talking these, and it happens a lot, guys, is the momentary switch on these for on and off. Usually you push them down to shut them off, and then when you let off, it goes back to the on position. These do go bad, and that means you're going to have to tear that down in through here. I don't know, maybe one of you guys could add to the comments. Is there a way to check that momentary switch to the coil to see if that is screwed up? I mean, I can henpeck it with a turbo light and stuff, with a tester. But we're going to keep going. We know that we have compression and we don't have fire yet, but let's assume we have fire so we can keep going. The next thing is going to be fuel. If you don't know where the fuel came from, or if you're the do-it-yourselfer and the fuel's been sitting around for a while, dump it out and put fresh in it and see if that makes a difference. A lot of times it will. It's simply just the fuel goes bad so fast. And you know, we've talked about this where you go to a gas station to get 91, the high octane with no ethanol in it. The guy ahead of you just got just standard ethanol gas, and there's so much of that into the hose from where it goes. So once you start pumping, it's pumping that hose into your bottle. So you're looking at half to 3/4 of a gallon of ethanol fuel that will cause you havoc. The one thing that I can recommend is PRI-G. It's a fuel additive. It mixes with the fuel. It doesn't try to contain it so that it's airtight, and it burns better. So we put fresh fuel in it. We've got fire, we've got compression. The other place to look is the air breather. Is the air breather plugged right up? And I've seen them really plugged up. I've seen them soaked in oil where they hadn't changed them in a long time. Because what ends up happening is this system was built to have a clean air filter on it. So it needs some resistance for it to run right. So if you took the air filter off and you're adjusting it, trying to get it where you want it, it's going to screw you, because the minute you put the air filter on, there's going to be some restriction coming through that air filter. If your air filter gets plugged or is thick where it needs to be changed, it can actually suck more fuel into the system, causing it to flood. So the minute you start trying to prime it and try to get it started, it's flooded. So if you've got good compression, good fire, and you've got good fuel, guaranteed, and the air filter's good, should fire, should run. Now you may have to do some fine tuning because most of these come with primer bulbs. And don't be afraid of these primer bulbs. Most of them are just simply a 2-screw that you take out and then just replace the primer bulb. Let's do this one on the steel because it's sitting right here. But you got these 2 screws. I know, I need a cameraman. So all we're gonna do is, if you wanna pop this cover and get it out of your way, that's fine. But here's your 2 screws that you're gonna need to work on. Just be careful with them so you don't lose them. Set it down. Make sure you have the right size Phillips for the right size screw so you don't strip out the centers of them. Alright, now that you have the 2 screws out, these just pop apart. Okay? And then all you have to do is just take and give her a little bit of a squeeze. And that's your primer bulb. And then you just take a new primer bulb just like that. It sets right into there. You line everything else right back up again. Put your cover on. And then just put your screws back in. It's not that hard, guys. And if you've got a primer bulb that's cracked, leaking, gotta bring her up, there she goes. It'll find its home. You do this enough. And it's directional, so you got to make sure you put it on the right way. That's where you need to pay attention, not like me. Pop that back off, set her in there. And then that should go right there and right there. That looks more like it. I'll be a mechanic yet. I'm just a little old apprentice. But this stuff you can do at home. That you don't need to take this to a small engine repair shop. If you just have problems with the primer bulb or replacing that. But that's pretty much all of them, you know, that no matter which one that you have, when it comes in, if you're trying to start a business and you're trying to figure out how to get paid diagnostic fee, that's exactly what you're doing, except for you're doing it one at a time. And then you have to decide yay or nay whether it's worth fixing. And the way I approach it is, if it was mine, would I put the money into it? And I find that most often the case, if I say no, a lot of times the customer will say go a little farther. But that keeps me honest of where I know that I'm going to get paid. Now these carburetors, they're not that hard to take off. You just get your torque bit. Alright, so they're a little smaller, but you could pop these 2 screws out. This comes right up and tear it right down. Get yourself a cleared area and just start laying it as you take it off. Lay it furthest and work your way back. And then if you don't have an ultrasonic cleaner, do the best you can with a carb cleaner with this, where you can spray into every orifice that's on it. Take the needle and seed out, get it cleaned up, and then assemble everything back the way you found it. And another way to do that, if you're not sure, is just take your phone and video as you're taking it apart. And then if you're not sure, you can just go back to your phone and look and say, okay, this is how I took it apart. This is how it's got to go back together. And there are a lot of things that are directional. It has to go the plate has to go a certain direction, okay? Now when it comes to adjusting these and stuff, they're pretty much the same as the chainsaw. And they have tamper-proof caps on a lot of them so that you can only go just so far directional. What I recommend is you take out the high and the low jack and clean out in there as well. And then when you put them back in, take them all the way in until they're bottomed out, and then come out a turn and a quarter to a turn and a half, and that will get you somewhere close. Now, if you're trying to figure out if you're not good by ear in sound and stuff, they do make this product. Mine is an Archer. It's an engine tachometer, and this one here you can put right around your neck if you wanted to, and go ahead and hit the position. And this doesn't have to be touching that unit, okay? It will pick up how many RPMs that it's doing. The older ones, you could do it the old style too, and that is by clipping this onto the spark plug. But with this here, it's not necessary. And I can give you the rotary number if you want it. It's a 32-15344. And so if you're not around them a lot and you're trying to tune your own stuff, you can find out online where they need to be and then just adjust it to that. But the tools that we have, you can get them right onto Amazon, and they don't come in a kit like this, but they'll come like a 6 or an 8 pack. And a lot of times if you're buying a carburetor off from eBay or Amazon, the Chinese sellers will throw in the right wrench for that carburetor that you're working on. But if the biggest thing I can teach you out of all of it is don't be scared. Don't let it get you in a frenzy of where you're worried about screwing up. You know, we all had to start somewhere. And like I say, if you're new to it and you're a little standoffish because you're not sure, make sure you have a big work area, a nice bench and put paper towels out is what I do. And then if I'm going to disassemble a carburetor, I'll disassemble it from the first piece I took off to the last piece. And that way I can just go back, and that's the way it goes back together. So if you have any questions or comments, put it in the comment section on that as well. Hopefully, you know, this is helping you become a better do-it-yourselfer or take on them extra jobs for a few extra bucks when you're retired, or take the leap. It's all in your court.